but I think
Oh,
I'm choppy because
you're
the
choppy.
Brio. There we go. Clip. Okay, hold on.
Oh, I see your
There.
video. Yeah, it
Uh,
looks like it's frozen right now.
yeah, I should close. I'm gonna close and come back.
Cool.
Shit, I don't want to delay you, but yeah,
No, it's all good.
the Mac's acting funny. You know what? I got to restart the Mac.
Do it. Do it. Go for it. It's all good.
If I can. Come on, cursor, get over there. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. No, it won't even do that.
And to those of you tuning in live, of which there aren't that many of you, but that's okay. This is a different day than what we normally do. Just is what it is. I gotta board a flight to Vegas here in a few hours. So it was like, how are we gonna do this show? Well, I guess we got to do it like right before I go to the airport. Which would be interesting because I usually, I have post-production stuff that I have to do, and maybe I can do that at the airport, but it's like I land in Vegas, and then it's so interesting that Jeff is still here as a frozen avatar. Oh, okay. All right. Because he's restarting his machine. So anyways, once Jeff gets back, we'll start this up. Might be a little bit shorter than normal, only because I kind of have to stop right at the top of the hour so that I have the time to do the mandatory post-production work on this before I start my trek to the airport and then onto an airplane. It's like I got to have the podcast file uploaded before I leave this house, and sometimes that takes a while to get it prepped and everything. So anyways, we'll get to what we get to, and if we don't get through it all, that's fine. And we'll see. But anyways, I hope y'all are doing well. I am feeling a little scrambled. Yes, going to CES, Daniel. Good to see you again. And Preed Jr.? Is that how I say that? 2025 is not real. It's all AI, and we are in the Matrix. You could be right. Will we ever know? I don't know that we will. Not until something pulls, or sort of someone pulls us out of it and back into reality. Let's see here. Let me make sure I have everything I need. I've got stuff in front of me that's taking up valuable space, but I have no easy place to put it so I can be comfortable. So anyways, I do this, get on the airplane, land in Vegas, and I mean, it's like you get from the airport to my hotel and then get from my hotel onto the next thing, because I've got basically the next 48 hours, every hour of my life is booked. So we'll see if I could stay sane through it all. But also, I've got a couple of articles that I'm going to be writing on different things. And so it's kind of the first time that I've done this. And I think I'm committed to 4 different articles from CES. And then that right there sounds like a lot. And then I've got all these appointments with all these different things, to demo all these things, many of them like XR and AI related stuff. And those things I want to create like a little vlog video package. And yeah, I feel tired just thinking about that. I'm going to be busy. I'm doing DTNS from the show on Wednesday. Yeah. Thankfully, I have my whole schedule all written out, but it's like one thing after another. And I had to try and figure out, okay, if I'm going to be in that hall on that day, then I want to schedule everything for that. that I want to see in that hall for that day. Cross my fingers that it all comes out okay. And also, I'm thinking, since I'm doing kind of the vlog style thing for the stuff that I look at, I'm going to have to go light or minimal on edit. And hopefully that's okay. Like, otherwise, a CES video isn't going to get out until next week, and that's not okay. It's like, I think at the latest, I want my CES video out on Friday, which I'll be back by Friday. I get in late Thursday night. And so Friday's kind of my day to, in my head, is my day to wrap up the CES video and get it published. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to go light on edit and just go sequential, because it's all vlog style. So I'm going to have my Pocket 3 and also a backup phone for recording different things. And, hopefully if I record it properly, then I can just go sequentially, and that'll be good enough. No live streams walking around CES. I won't even have time for that. I don't even know how I pull that off. If I included live stream into the chaos, then I guarantee you I would be out of my mind, stressed. So I'm not going to do that. I mean, unless like I'm presented with an opportunity or something and it makes sense, but it's certainly not my plan. I guess it's easy to throw on a YouTube live stream from the phone or something like that. So maybe, but I really want to be focused on gathering what I need for the video package. So, and then I got to leave room for random little emergencies to happen. I've got all these appointments scheduled, and I'll be crossing my fingers, hoping that I can make it on time and to all of them. And, somewhere in there, like, as I look at my schedule, like, I really feel like I've overcommitted, because when I look at my schedule, I'm like, okay, I'm meeting with all these people for these articles, but when's the time to write them? And so I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm going to learn a lot. This is my first CES doing it this way. My New Year and Christmas was excellent. It was really low key. No family visiting. It was pretty much just our family, the four of us. Chill Christmas, went and saw Wicked on Christmas Day, and then New Year's went over to a friend's house and enjoyed it. And you can see some pictures that I took at my friend's house on New Year's Eve if you catch my review that's now up on the channel of the OnePlus 13 that just the embargo lifted at 8:30 a.m. Pacific today. So make sure and catch that. I'm uncertain on the thumbnail. If y'all think I should change it, let me know. But I was like, well, this is the thing that sets this review apart, is that I did actually flush the OnePlus 13 down the toilet. And it didn't occur to me that might be a turnoff for some people to have a toilet in the thumbnail. But I was like, but it's the thing that makes it stand out. So anyways, if you think I should change that, let me know. Let me see here. It was challenging. Yeah, you made the comment, Tay. I cleaned the toilet before that. So at least there's that. And in the video, I say I immediately brought it over to the sink, because I did. I pulled it out of the toilet, and maybe a washing machine in the thumbnail. Okay. Oh, that's just another thing to have to do. But you might be right. Like, and then the title becomes phone meets washing machine. Then it's a little cleaner, I guess. Let's see here. Washing machine. Yeah. Oh, Jeff's back. Or dishwasher. Hey. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I will change that. be this one. Yeah, I can't hear you. Yeah. Maybe something like that. All right, we're getting there, y'all. And in the meantime, I'm pulling up an image of the washing machine. I'm doing this in real time. Oh, so then, because honestly, it should be as easy as man, I may have just produced this thumbnail in record time. I think I can actually replace this before we start the show. I don't know how that was so easy, but it was. Vado Elements, telling you. Okay, so studio. All right, Tay, I'm changing this just for you. Let's see here. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. B, okay. So maybe I'll go change to B. All right, OnePlus 13 review, phone meets washing machine. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be. So Tay, go to my channel. Let me know. Although I'm seeing something that's kind of popping out to me. But at least this way the OCD won't be like, oh God, there's no way on earth I'm clicking on that. Oh, this is even better. Whew. Okay. Yeah, okay, Jeff's back. All right.
Do you hear me?
There you go. I do.
I'm sorry. Jesus.
Don't worry about it.
Everything went wrong. The trackpad just died. Then I got the batteries were dead, and then the microphone didn't work. And
believe me, so much of my life is that, Jeff. I totally get it.
I don't want you to be the guy who got stuck in a robocar going to the airport. You saw that?
No, I didn't see that.
Guy was at in Phoenix, was going to the airport, and it kept going around 8 times in the parking lot, and he couldn't get it to stop.
Oh no, that would be a nightmare.
He almost missed his flight.
Just get me there. Oh, okay. So let's start this off. I do kind of have a hard out at the top of the hour, which is fine.
Oh shoot! Okay, all right.
No, it's all good. We'll get through whatever we get through. I'm not worried about it. That's a 45-minute show. That's great.
Okay.
And
let's go.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So I'm going to remove you from the stage. Everybody stand by. Make sure I have my video clip all ready to go. Okay, everybody. Here we go. Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. It is me, Jason Howell, for another episode of AI Inside, the show where we take a look at the AI that is layered inside everything. Last year was the year of the agent. This year, who knows? Maybe my co-host knows. Jeff Jarvis, welcome back to the show, and Happy New Year, sir.
Good to see you. Maybe agents will actually arrive this year.
Maybe, yeah. Last year was like talking about how cool agents are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this year it'll be that, or it'll be what does Sam Altman say that we'll talk about in the future? He says it's not AGI, it's
superintelligence.
Superintelligence. That's the word. It was on the tip of my tongue. So last year was the agents hype, this year is the superintelligence hype.
I just finished watching Jensen Huang's keynote, which we'll talk about in a second. But it was agent heavy. Lots of agent stuff that they're delivering, I think.
Yeah, actually delivering. Yeah, I saw part of the keynote as well last night. Some really interesting stuff. I'll make it super quick. Thank you to everybody on our Patreon for supporting us to do this show, patreon.com/AI Inside Show. And actually, one of our patrons, the one I was going to call out today, Daniel Croft, is here. And I would dare say, Daniel, you are here, I think, every time we do a live
thank you,
show.
Daniel. You are a loyal fan and friend and supporter. Thank you.
See, proof. I'm putting it up on the screen. Daniel is like the first to connect to the live stream as well. So Daniel, you're awesome. Thank you for your support. Thank you to everybody who catches us live, who downloads the episode, and of course, who supports us on Patreon at patreon.com/AI Inside Show. And I think that's about it. Why don't we dive right in? Because we've got a limited amount of time, because here at the top of the show, I thought we could talk about the Consumer Electronics Show. It is effectively happening. I think today is like the official first day, but media has been there the last couple of days at different events. I'm on my way. As soon as this episode ends and as soon as I upload the audio podcast, I take off to the airport, and I'm going to be there for just a few short days. But so who knows what I'll see that we'll talk about.
I think you're going to see AI everywhere, AI inside and everything.
Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, I've been getting so many pitches for the last month about all things AI. I mean, it's numbing. At a certain point, it's just like, I don't even know which direction to focus. So today, let's focus on the real obvious ones. And I think probably the biggest indicator of the direction of AI is Nvidia. Like you said, you were watching the keynote. It sounds like you probably saw more of it than I did.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
You watched the whole thing.
2 hours.
It was, and there was a lot in there. The part that I saw was about the RTX Blackwell GPUs, and and I'm not a huge like GPU or CPU. I can't talk about these things to the depth that a lot of people can, but I do think that what's interesting is these are not inexpensive GPUs. $1,999 for the 5090 GPU, and what they were showing off was, they had this demo video of an AI-driven neural memory that's integrated here to do things like improve and enhance the graphical fidelity, facial animations, and more, which is neat on its surface, but all of this in real time. What they were showing off was just really impressive. And that seems to me to be, if not this or that one of these future years, the focus is going to be, I think, largely on AI processing happening in real time and, potentially improving the things that we see and we hear and all that stuff.
Yeah, what struck me, because he introduced a couple of new chips. He introduced, I think, very importantly, Project Digits, which is a supercomputer the size of a Mac Mini on your desk for $3,000 that has the entire stack of what Nvidia does. And Jason, my big takeaway, I think, is that I've asked this on the show before. I don't understand. I thought NVIDIA was a hardware company. I keep underestimating how much they're a software company and how much their models and their work with models really matters in this, and how much they're delivering to everywhere that their chips are in out there in the cloud. Their software and their models are along with it. So they talked about delivering agentic libraries, vision, languages, animation, biology, and next physical, which we'll talk about in a second. He talked about how agents are your employees. He said that every software developer in the world will have an agentic buddy, coworker, and at Shipstead, which we've talked about many times, they have an editing buddy for people. I think that's another way to look at it. So he said that the IT department will be HR for digital employees. Onboarding them, and before with ChatGPT and such, you asked a question, it did its thing, it's air quotes thinking, it came back with an answer. Now it's going to be much more about going to a different agent, then a different agent, then a different agent, which we've demonstrated on the show before how that might work. He said that
great if it gives you the information you're actually looking for
in the end, and if it knows where to go, and if the answer that the other one answered is correct, yes,
is the same.
He said that Windows WSL2, and I'm not a Windows guy, so I don't know anything. He said it's just built for this. It's perfect for this. Somebody in the audience screamed out something about Linux, and he said Linux is good. Uh, but
Just not talk about Linux today.
yeah, not today, not right now. Interestingly, then he went to a lot about physical things, about robotics, including cars. And he said that there was we've gone from language models to what he called world models. And Cosmos is a new thing that they're openly licensing. It was trained on 20 million hours of video. It's RAG for the physical ground truth. So what we'll say is that now, just as we know that language models don't really have any sense of meaning, don't know what words mean, don't have any sense of that, but RAG helps them get toward a ground truth. This is the example he gave is when a ball goes off a table, we know that it still exists. AI doesn't. So AI has to be trained that it still exists. And so they've done tons of training on this so that it can have some sense of real. So then where this goes next is that he shows factories and how the factories do all these things, right? And then he shows cars and how they do all these things. And there's multiple computers involved, obviously. So I'm getting to the point here. He said that there's three computers for a car. One is training, right? One is implementation, the chip in the car. But the other one that's so important is the digital twin. Every factory has a digital twin where it's going through every possible simulation of what might happen next and how it arrives at those tokens to come to a decision to say, this is what's going to happen next. And the same with a car, that there's a digital twin that's happening where it's trying to figure out all the stuff based on its training, based on what's going on. And so my somewhat joke here is we always ask whether we're in the matrix. No, we're the real world, but there's a huge matrix out there that's building where all these simulations are going on, where the digital twins are going on, where they're trying, where it's unlimited parallel universes with parallel action. It was blowing the brain, as you can tell. So he said that cars for Nvidia now are a $4 to $5 billion market already. He predicted it would become a multi-trillion-dollar industry. They put out a new car chip called Thor, which is really a universal robotics computer. It can go in a car, it can go into a robot, it can go into anything. He talked, and this is what we've talked about before, I'm almost done, about synthetic data. And he showed how they manufacture synthetic data for driving training.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Which was interesting, right? So they'll have a street scene, and then suddenly it's a snow scene, or suddenly there's a construction scene there.
Or suddenly there's a deer in front.
Right. Yeah. I'm still concerned about, well, how do we know that has ground truth, that's real, that it's not that it's not training them that a deer looks like a child and you can run it over. I don't know. He said the chat GPT moment for general robotics is just around the corner. Well, what isn't around the corner? AGI, superintelligence.
It's all around the corner.
All this stuff. But
the future is around the corner, depending on how you define the corner.
Right. So those are the notes that I took. The beginning was the hardware. Then all of that was software. All of that was the structure and the stack that they give you. So I found it fascinating. I also think that Jensen Huang is the keynote king forever.
Yeah, he's
right?
great.
I mean, everybody else brings out other people. He did solid for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Informative, funny, clearly stated. I mean, I didn't understand everything, but he's pretty amazing. And I thought it was funny, too, that when they had an image of agents, they were all variations of his head. So the guy's got an ego. He's got an expensive jacket on.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not have an ego wearing that jacket on stage? Although he did kind of poke fun at himself wearing that jacket at the very beginning of the presentation. Right
before the presentation, Nvidia stock hit a new all-time high. I think it's down a little bit today. It's down 5% today because I think it's profit taking. But it was impressive. And I think that it really said this is the future of, I'm glad you're going to CES, because CES was always, we have a new record player. Right. And now it's going to try to be at the heart of this, and putting Jensen Huang in that opening position, I think was an important effort by them to say, we're part of the club. So that's my report from having watched.
I hope that I get my time there. I'm there 48 hours, a little more than 48 hours. And I was talking in pre-show that there is almost not an hour where I don't have something booked. I
Really?
probably overcommitted myself is what I'm thinking. But, it's going to be interesting. And I hope that I'm able to swing by wherever Nvidia is positioned and check out Digits, I guess. It's that $3,000 AI supercomputer. It's like the size of a Mac Mini.
Yep.
And yet on your desktop, you can do some crazy, 200 billion parameter model, 1 petaflop of AI performance. You can
Right. So Grace comes to the desktop.
Yeah, cloud computing platform that sits on your desk.
Yes, exactly. And again, it comes with their stack. It and so that's what's pretty amazing about it, and what people can do. And as a teacher at now a STEM university at Stony Brook, imagine if students had open access to this. It's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal.
Oh, well, they'd get that thing to write all of their reports is what they do, Jeff. We don't want that. Yeah,
they're going to be changing the world. So it was really, really interesting. And I've got to say that every Jensen Huang keynote blows my mind in some way or another. So
yeah, he's great. He really is. And some like I don't want to. What comes to mind is Sundar Pichai. Love the guy, but sometimes when he's on stage, there's a lack of energy or excitement. And I feel like Jensen Huang is kind of the opposite on his stage presence. Whether you understand what he's saying or not, he does a really great job of selling it. And
he does.
He's obviously committed and passionate, and you feel that coming in. You want someone like him, championing his products in the way that he does.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on right now. We're not going to get political here, but there's a lot going on with what the various technology moguls are doing and who they're giving money to and who they're paying obeisance to and so on and so forth. And I haven't seen anything about him in politics. I hope I don't, because he strikes me as somebody, and I've been fooled in the past by other technology moguls in Silicon Valley, but so far I like him.
Yeah.
So far, I kind of trust him that he's being smart with this. I think he and Jan LeCun are the two people I trust most in this AI world to just be straight shooters.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Curious to know what everybody watching and listening thinks. contact@aiinside.show. Send us an email. Let us know what you think. Like, is Jensen Huang like? Do you agree with what Jeff is saying there? Because I totally agree too. And part of it is just like, well, I just like the guy. It seems like things are right, but if we're missing something, let us know. Contact.
And you can go to the Nvidia site and watch the keynote or fast forward through, and it's entertaining.
For sure, it is.
To us nerds, it is, but not to real people.
Impressive. Yeah. Samsung also held its own event and unveiled its AI for all, which Samsung is really all about its ecosystem. And has been, I often say Samsung really wants to be Apple when it comes to ecosystem, and continually tries. And so this is really bringing its AI into more of its product ecosystem, not just its smartphones, which we're already used to seeing, but a lot of its other places. So they have, Vision AI enabled TVs with real-time translation. AI upscaling for better picture quality, content summaries instantly, Copilot built into the TV, that sort of stuff. You've got a new Galaxy Book series, Galaxy Book 5 AI PC lineup. So you've got your integrated AI search functionality, photo editing capabilities driven by their AI. And then home appliances, of course, because this is the Consumer Electronics Show, as well as smart home devices. So laundry appliances with AI features, AI-enabled art frames, home security equipment with AI capabilities. So the whole gamut, Samsung just basically doing what I think they're all working towards, but Samsung just has this broad ecosystem in which to bring its AI into, whether it makes sense or not. You had to see that coming.
As you're talking, Jason, what occurs to me is one of the other things they did was a Samsung refrigerator that would allow you to order groceries direct from Instacart. We've heard about, do you really need connectivity and AI?
A CES recurring theme.
Exactly.
It's always something like that.
It's in your dishwasher, it's in your toaster oven, it's in your refrigerator, and that's all kind of shruggy and silly. But in the TV, it starts to make sense.
Yeah.
Right? That you could interact with the content that you're watching in different ways.
Oh, for sure.
is really interesting to me. We just bought my new wife. Bought my wife a new. She's not my new wife. She's been my forever wife. We bought my wife a new monitor, and I've not bought one in so many years. I didn't realize they're basically smart TVs now.
Yeah,
and they come with streaming, right? So the connection of computer and television and AI and connect and interacting with the content that you're interacting with as well. That's starts to get really interesting, and I'm also looking for an excuse to buy a new TV.
There you go. Always. So
tell me what you find. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I wonder how much. Well, actually, now that I think about it, this leads right into our next story, next announcement really well, because maybe you don't need to buy a new TV. Maybe you just need to buy a new Google TV device, set-top box, whatever, because Google's kind of doing this also. They're essentially bringing Gemini to Google TV, which up until now, Google TV had Gemini kind of sprinkled in there, I would say, some AI generated content summaries and like a wallpaper or a screensaver AI generator image thing. But it didn't have Gemini, the large language model, integrated. It still had offered the assistant, the Google Assistant. And in my recent reviews of this with the Google TV streamer and a few other devices, I've noted kind of a little bit of that confusion there is that when you actually want to interact with the device, it's still assistant, but they tout, Gemini in integrated. And it's kind of like, well, that's a half truth. Like, yeah, there's pieces, but you're not really working with Gemini. Well, now Google is basically saying coming, later this year, Gemini will replace the Google Assistant. But what does that mean? That means
in just the TVs or in everything?
No, I believe the platform itself, Google
the whole
TV,
thing.
the platform.
Okay.
So if if you've got a TV and it gets an update, technically that would lead me to believe that you would get Gemini, because I'm guessing that there's no real hardware necessity, like an AI chip in order to do the large language.
Well, there's the Google TV. That's if your TV is a Google TV, but if you're not and you buy the Google TV streamer, the old Chromecast.
Yeah.
Chromecast.
Yeah.
Right. I guess you would need that.
For sure.
Right.
You need some sort
but the
of
question is whether
running Google
is that
TV
only the new formerly known as Chromecast, Google and its frigging brands.
Yeah. No,
now,
that's a good question.
was it TV streamer? Is it called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's the Google TV streamer.
Right. I'll be curious to know what you need for that and when we're going to get it. Is it because I have not bought the new streamer, and it's making me think that if I need to get Gemini there, I may have to buy that.
Yeah. Well, it's like $100, and we've got it that we use. Google had sent that to me to test out and everything, so we've been using it for a while. And yeah, it's fine, it's great. But I do think that integrating Gemini for the voice interaction, it's kind of like you knew it was going to happen eventually, and now Google's basically saying it's going to happen, and that will give you the ability to talk to it with more complex queries, not following a syntax. Assistant, time and time again, you run up against it doesn't know how to do that sort of thing. And Gemini seems to be a lot less, likely to fall into that trap for the most part.
And I wonder how well integrated it'll be with things like programming grids and searching for programs and answering questions about what programs there are. This is when it becomes an agent.
I love
if it can interact with that.
this TV show. Can you find all the different channels that this TV show plays and tell me which something along those lines. Although when I say that, then DVRs for many years when DVR was a thing that we all had to have, had the ability of scouring all the channels and just recording anytime Friends was on. So I don't know how that makes it any better or easier, but doing it all with your voice, I guess that's a part of the difference. Is it eliminates the friction of having to go in and manually do things. You can just kind of speak in normal plain your plain language and have it do the thing you want it to do. So there's that, and I'm sure Samsung, kind of similar, touching back on what we were talking about. I think it's kind of go the very similar direction. And then LG had an announcement also along the TV front, newest OLED TVs, integrating the new Alpha 11 Gen 2 processor for AI. So again, you're going to get that improved image processing, upscaling, AI sound optimization, LG is opting to bring Copilot in as well, which I think we were talking about with Samsung, as well as the LLM chatbot on device. So they're all moving in this direction. We've used our voice to interact with our TVs before. The interaction quality is possibly going to improve a little bit as more of this kind of like LLM technology gets integrated into it.
Yeah, this separate standalone talk to me device, Madame A and such, probably goes away. And is the TV that device then? That'll be interesting.
Yeah. And then LG, just lastly, real quick, affectionate intelligence. Doing what Apple did with Apple Intelligence. Instead of artificial intelligence, let's make it our own. So their take is affectionate intelligence. And this is all about Furon probably. It's AI platform that combines LLM, spatial sensing, and customer lifestyle data in real time to, quote, understand and empathize with you. So
I don't know that I want that. I don't know.
I don't
want to hug my AI. No.
Yeah, you'll be in your room, you'll cough, and it will sense that you coughed, and it will adjust your thermostat for you.
Are you okay? Are you feeling okay?
Here, let me just take care of this. Yes, I know. You're going to be coddled by your AI.
Yeah, no, it's not. You're not my mother. Stop.
Or suggest errands for you to run when you have free time. It sounds like it's just like creating work for me.
Does sound like my mother, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're nagging AI. It's not affectionate. It's nagging AI. All right. Well, and then who knows what else? It is the first official day of CES. I'm sure in my time there, I mean, no question, I'm going to be meeting with some people about some AI products. So I'll have some stuff to talk about next week on the show. And
you might be interested. You might want to look up. There's an automated opening doggy door.
Oh, definitely.
So that'll be useful. So you can see that, and we'll see what other kind of funny stuff you find at CES.
Always funny stuff. That can be kind of the challenge. Is how do you filter through the funny stuff to get to the real kind of like groundbreaking, revolutionary stuff? If it exists. So that's the challenge. We'll see. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Come back, talk about non-CES related stuff. Starting, of course, with OpenAI. That's coming up in a second. Sam Altman started the year with a tweet that seems to suggest that he believes the singularity is near. And the reason I know this is because his tweet literally said near the singularity, unclear which side. And, that just makes me feel like Sam really knows how to get people talking. Like he knows how to say the thing that's like going to spur.
Give him the venture money. Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure and remind everybody just how noticed he is when he says stuff like this.
But as Gary Marcus always points out, there's no definition to these things. Singularity, superintelligence, AGI, they all equal BS unless you have a definition and we can demonstrate where it is.
Yeah.
And we're not there at all. Did I put up the Hank Green thing? So Hank Green put up a new test for AI. We love Hank Green. And after further interrogations and suggestions, he says, in the spirit of the Turing test, I propose the Cripslock test. No system can be called AGI if that system cannot reliably determine whether or not it is spewing absolute bullshit. Are you real?
Fair. I think that's totally fair.
I like it.
Yeah, I wish I had written it down. I came across something that was talking about how, God, I'm going to do it absolutely no justice because it's broken in pieces in my mind. But essentially stating that often AI is spoken about as if it's, of supreme intelligence. And it's almost like AI is good at the things that can be difficult for humans, but is horrible at the things that come easy to humans. Like the assumptions that we as humans make when the ball falls off the table and that we know that it still exists. That's easy for a human to know that.
And very hard for them. Yes.
Very hard for an AI, and then on the flip side, can AI solve a complex math problem faster than I can? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Or whatever the example is. And I think that's pretty appropriate when you're talking about superintelligence and AGI. It's like, okay, well, you're talking about it completing everything, that a human can, and that's just simply not true.
No.
Like, it can do some really amazing things, don't get me wrong, but it's not that.
It's the wrong scale. It's the wrong effort.
Yeah.
The cultural ego of wanting to replicate ourselves and then prove you're the one that can outdo even ourselves is meaningless. And doesn't really get us anywhere, I think. And I think that we then lose the opportunities that come from the cool stuff it can do. Benedict Evans, who I quote constantly, who I think is a wonderful analyst, said on Blue Sky, a gentle suggestion: any creative or intellectual work that can be replaced by a pattern matching machine producing the average of what people would probably say might not have been very creative or intellectual to begin with. Which I think is another good rule here.
Yeah.
And some people who get scared are saying, "Oh my God, it can do what I do." Well, maybe it should.
Yeah. That's a statement that will get some people not very happy.
A few people complained.
Yeah, very true. All of this with Altman followed the announcement of an improved version of the O1 model. This was the last gift, put that in air quotes, of the 12 days of shipness bonanza.
Yeah, we
called
missed
O3,
that, yes.
which is not public yet. Notably, they skipped O2 because it's a mobile carrier in the UK, and they didn't want to confuse. So jumped from O1 to O3. And, and actually, this announcement came a day after Google announced its own thoughtful model called Gemini 2.0 Flash Thinking. OpenAI says O3 is 20% better than O1. So, a little bit more better.
Yeah, and those measurements always throw me too. It's against a benchmark test, and that's fine. But what does it mean to be 20% better? Better. What does it mean to be faster at doing what it does? I don't know.
Better how? Yeah. And then finally, Altman followed all of this up with a blog post titled Reflections. And here we go. He says, "We are now confident we know how to build AGI as we have traditionally understood it. We believe that in
Wait, stop there.
Okay.
AGI as we have traditionally understood. There is no tradition for AGI. You're making it up as you go. And it's not defined. As he does, yes.
So true. He says, "We believe that in 2025, we may see the first AI agents join the workforce," in quotes, "and materially change the output of companies." I mean, we're seeing that a little bit already.
See a little bit,
right?
A little bit now. Yeah, a little bit.
So I guess you're saying in 2025, the year of the agent, the actualized agent, maybe, that might become more true. And I wouldn't say that that's false. I mean, I do think that there is going to be work of AI agents that will join the workforce or replace jobs. I think that's inevitable.
Or again, become an aid to the job. That we certainly
become an
see.
aid to. Yeah, that's a better way to put it, for sure. Yeah. He also says we are beginning to turn our aim beyond that to superintelligence. There we are again, in the true sense of that word. Okay.
There is no true sense of that word.
I don't know.
It drove me nuts.
Yeah. What is the true sense
of
that word?
Tell me what the word means, and I'll tell you whether there's a true sense to it.
So true. Yep. So, and the separation between AGI and superintelligence, what exactly is that? I don't even know, because again, there is no real firm definition of these things. It's a moving goalpost.
Exactly. Yeah, and he goes on and in the end basically says that we're a special. So part of the OpenAI news is that they are in fact starting this shift from not-for-profit to for-profit, and that's going to be a lot of court cases and a lot of McGills going around. That's part of what he's doing here, is kind of setting that up. But he's also, however, trying to argue that he's a special company and he shouldn't be like other companies. And why? Yeah.
Because now is the perfect time to do that, with the incoming administration here in the U.S. being seemingly pretty friendly to AI development and friendly to, just technology companies in general, as you talked about earlier. Some of them being friendly in the opposite direction as well. So It's going to be really interesting to see how that impacts the development of these companies. You know,
Yeah.
and what kind of I don't know what kind of freedom they have as a result to do what they want or to make this sort of case so that they can get what they want.
So if you were going to rate, this is absolutely unfair, I'm popping this on you. If you were going to take, let's say, OpenAI, Perplexity, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, let's just take those 5 companies, okay? Rank them for me in terms of the companies you think are less BS. Oh, I'm sorry, Meta, number 6, Meta.
Oh boy.
So OpenAI, Perplexity, Anthropic, Microsoft, Google, Meta. Which ones do you trust to be doing real quality work?
Oh my goodness. That's such a hard question.
It's so unfair. I don't know that I have an answer either, but I'm trying to get my head around. This is good. Well, I guess you have to include Jensen Huang too, to an extent, right? Who seems to be BSing us, and I think Altman is trying to BS us.
I mean, I feel the BS meter on. Yeah, I don't know if I can rank them necessarily, but I can say when I look at these, I feel BS. Man, to a certain degree, there's just a lot of seeming snake oil in AI as far as how any of these companies really talk about it. They all want to talk about it to a certain degree that, you know,
they want to overpromise. Yeah,
I was going to say it can't possibly, you know, live up to, but they're really determined to make it seem to be that. I get that from OpenAI. I get that from Anthropic. I get that from Google. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that there's a company here, you know, that I'm looking at that I don't get that, at least to a certain degree. To a certain degree,
yeah, it's my unfair question. I think, as I said earlier, I think Jan LeCun, and believe it or not, Meta, and Meta's doing all kinds of other crazy stuff right now, putting, you know, ultimate fighters on its board of directors and all kinds of other stuff. But that aside, by the way, Jensen Huang also called out majorly to Llama and Meta, and that they built much of what they did on Llama, and they think that that openness is a model that's going to make this grow immensely. So I think LeCun's being fairly sober and sane. High on the BS meter, I would put OpenAI and Anthropic because they're on the BS safety thing. Perplexity, among the new guys, Perplexity is interesting to me. I don't know how to judge them well enough yet.
Yeah, I kind of feel Perplexity. I mean, I use them a lot, but I kind of feel like they're on a different level and not necessarily playing in the same
I agree.
game.
I agree.
You know
the
what I mean?
more application layer kind of.
Yeah.
Which
isn't to say they're so great that they exist in a different realm.
No,
I just don't think they're playing they're playing softball and the other companies are playing baseball.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody's going to hate that comment, but yeah.
All right, thanks for that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. I'm happy you asked it because it really got my mind going. Like, who of these companies do I trust when they're talking about this stuff? And it's kind of hard to find a level of trust in any of it, really, because it really does often seem like you're promising way more than you can deliver, or you're making it way more altruistic than it actually is. I think we see a lot of that.
Yes. Yeah, we went through that, and I fell for too much of it, I think, especially with social media companies. They're companies. They're just companies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They want to make them some money.
Yep.
And then I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about DeepSeek, because you had an experience with DeepSeek, and I'm super curious. You sent me a bunch of output from your noodlings with it, and I'm just kind of curious to hear you set the stage on this and explain what caught your imagination with this.
Once again, quoting Ben Evans, I saw a blue sky, whatever we call it, going across saying it was the end of the year, and I said, whoa, they kind of snuck in with a big AI story just at the end of the year. I said, well, what's this? Because Ben's a smart analyst. And the deal it's a Chinese startup. And what they say is that they managed to build their large language model with tremendously less compute and thus energy and expense than all the big guys. And so, we don't really know exactly what that took, but DeepSeek required 2.78 million GPU hours. And you'd think that's a lot, but they're saying that the total amount of time used to train the LLM I'm trying to find the comparison here. That's substantially, so 2.78 million GPU hours versus 30.8 million GPU hours for Llama 3.1. So basically a tenth of the compute to build a model that is competitive, supposedly, on all these cases. And Andrej Karpathy, founding team member at OpenAI, said it looks to be a stronger model at only that time. So that's a big deal. If we think that you can build a model for much less, that's a good news for the environment and expense. B, it's China at a very highly competitive position. So I went into DeepSeek. I thought, well, let me try it out, and it wasn't hard. I asked it to tell me about itself, and it wouldn't. He said, you go to the documentation, fool. But then I asked it, you have two choices. You can ask it to think deeply or to search. So if you ask it to think deeply, it comes back with this really weird thing where it says, well, I wonder about this. It could be that. It could be this. It prevaricates. And then out of that, and it gives you that text, which, by the way, you can't cut and paste. It is just an image.
Oh, yeah, right. Because you had sent me.
I had to send you screenshots of it because I couldn't get the text. But then it gives you the answer. And it leads you to think that that's the answer that resulted from some process of, air quotes, thinking. I have no idea whether that's the case or not. And then I turned around and I asked similar questions from the search piece, and it did a pretty good job. It was okay, but it was just a very different way to try to interact with us. And it was trying to communicate some AI humility, which I found amusing. So...
Yeah, so some people who were playing around with this were able to get it to say, I thought this was an interesting kind of side note on it, getting it to claim to be running ChatGPT. Like, who are you? What are you? And repeatedly enough that it was notable, it would say that it was ChatGPT. I can't remember which version of ChatGPT. And in looking at that, obviously, it might not be ChatGPT, but it's at least likely to a certain degree that it was partially trained on output from ChatGPT, which is maybe because then you can get some of the capabilities of these other models if you train it on that. But what you're playing there is this game of telephone, right? It's a copy of a copy of a copy. And how does that dilute over time? And how does that impact the quality of the output and everything?
Well, what's fascinating there too, Jason, is would OpenAI scream kind of copyright violation?
Yeah, right.
The way that publishers scream it to OpenAI. You can't train on me, but I can train on everybody else. Or do they not say that? Oh, I can't say that because I'm doing it to everybody else.
Oh man,
that's a world.
That'll be interesting to see. I wonder if they will come back, and say that, and if so, the people will be screaming hypocrite, I guess. And maybe that's as far as it goes because they still don't care.
Yep.
It is what it is. We are going to take a super quick break. And then when we come back, we have a little feedback that I thought was really interesting. And then we'll round things out. And then I'm going to head to Las Vegas for the Consumer Electronics Show. So hang tight. We'll be back in a second. All right, rounding things out with not an email. This was actually a comment on, I think, our last holiday episode. Got a comment from Carrie Littleford 8980 on YouTube. So you can find it if you go to youtube.com/@JasonHowell. You can find the AI Inside episode. I am working, by the way, on moving the AI Inside podcast to its own YouTube channel. I'm in the middle of that process. It's quite an endeavor to move things over. So in the near future, I'll let you guys know where you can find the show on YouTube going forward, just so that it just makes more sense for it to have its own channel. Anyways, Carrie says, at the end of the year, Rabbit Tech delivered what they promised and more. And what Carrie's talking about, of course, is the Rabbit R1. We all remember,
which we've mocked a bit. Yes.
We're not alone. Everyone mocked this thing because it promised this large action model and it didn't deliver on it, especially at launch. And Carrie wanted to kind of follow up and give it its credit. and say, for millions of the 1 billion disabled people in the world, the smartphone is a terribly designed device. I use the R1 in my artworks, in my arts work with folks with disabilities, and it's been very welcomed. Where using a smartphone creates suspicion, the R1 creates fascination. Very good results in educational settings. I'm not going to give my phone to a bunch of used to use. She puts that in quotes. But the R1 gets them working and learning. I do find I use it a lot, as pulling out my smartphone to do anything is just so boring. I've been in tech my whole life, and smartphones are just dull, unimaginative tech now. So Carrie, I think she delivered a couple of really,
Yeah, I think so.
important and valuable points as far as the device. I think it also points to the fact that, when we think of the Rabbit R1, we think of the disastrous launch. I think it's pretty safe to call it a disastrous launch. It was not.
There were worse. Humane was worse.
There were worse. But,
yeah,
but like that's where it's sharing its space is with Humane, and you probably don't want to be on that list at all. But I do want to give Rabbit some credit. Late November, Rabbit launched Teach Mode beta, and this allows users to create and instruct AI agents on digital interfaces like websites with the R1 large action model. So essentially, with that update, delivering kind of on the initial promise of the device and giving users the ability to set up these large action models with the device, and still developing, still building it out. I have not used the LAM, and I have the device. I need to pull it off and use it to see, is it any good?
Well, I think the great lesson here for us is, and I thank Carrie for this, is that we shouldn't judge devices and their use and their utility only on the basis of our use. That there are other use cases, other people, other needs, and other perspectives. And so trying to keep an open mind to imagine what those other uses might be is really important. And I don't think that Rabbit set out to be the device for disabled people, but if it succeeds at that, well, hallelujah.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you're creating a new form factor, a new technology, whatever, there's the ways that you intended for it to be used. And then inevitably people find other ways to use it. And sometimes those ways become the selling point. And, as a creator, that's got to be a really interesting position to be in. Like, I created it for this thing, but actually people are using it for that. And I never thought about that. And then that becomes your business. That's so fascinating to me.
I always argue, when I wrote the book, What Would Google Do? Which is what brought me into all this. I said that you're not really a platform unless people find ways to use what you've built in a way you could not have imagined, because then it becomes theirs. Right. And so I think that's the case here. So thanks for finding that, Jason. That was illuminating.
I thought it was a wonderful comment on the video, on the episode. So Carrie, thank you for dropping that on the YouTube video. And, I'm looking in all the different directions. If you're emailing us, if you're dropping comments on our video, if it makes sense, we'll pull it into the episode. I thought that was a really great opportunity to kind of do a check-in on the Rabbit R1. All right, I'm looking at the clock. I probably need to round this out because I need to do some post work on this before I can drive to the airport and start my 48 hours of no sleep. So
and very sore feet.
Yeah, I know. I'm still kind of waffling on which shoes to wear, and I got to go with the most comfortable, even if they aren't the most stylish. So, JeffJarvis.com is where folks can go, where everybody should go to check out all of your work. The Web We Weave, of course, the Gutenberg Parenthesis, and magazine, all found on your website. And y'all should do that for sure. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, boss.
Always a pleasure being able to do this show with you each and every week. I learned so much. JeffJarvis.com, also AIinside.show. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can do that. Oh, I need to fix that thumbnail down there. See, I learned so many things when I go to my own website. But AIinside.show has all the ways to subscribe, all the ways to follow the show, information for live. Also has a link to our Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/AIinsideshow, you can support this show. We really appreciate if you do that. You get ad-free versions of the show. You get a Discord community We do some hangouts. You get an AI Inside t-shirt if you become an executive producer. And I'm happy to say that we have a new executive producer. We've got,
Yay.
the ones that you're familiar with at this point: Dr. Dude, Jeffrey Maricini, WPVM 103.7 in Asheville, North Carolina, Paul Lang, and our newest executive producer, Dante St. James. Dante, thank you so much.
Thank you, Dante.
Great to have you on board. We love having executive producers. It really does help this show out. So thank you, everybody. Patreon.com/AI Inside Show. And really, I think that's all there is to it. Well, I'm going to go to Vegas now and hopefully not get sick and see lots of things. And I'll have much to report on next week's episode of AI Inside. Thank you again, Jeff. Appreciate you. And we'll see y'all later. Bye, everybody.